From a sneaky rattlesnake for a thirst for human flesh to a Siberian tiger that tracked, followed, and took revenge on a hunter, here are 10 times when hunters become the hunted. Number 10. Revenge in Arkansas. A hunter in the state of Arkansas became the hunted after he was gored by a deer he had just attempted to kill. The hunter's name was Thomas Alexander, and he was 66 years old at the time. While hunting near the Ozark Mountains, he shot a buck and then watched as it collapsed. Thomas assumed the animal was dead, and so he went to check the body to see for himself. What he didn't know was that the buck was playing possum, and when he got too close to it, the animal stood back up and attacked him. Thomas did manage to call his wife quickly, who then called the emergency services. But according to the report from BBC, he was eventually declared dead at the hospital. Even though paramedics tried to airlift him out of the scene, the man stopped breathing before they could get him into the helicopter. The hospital didn't give his exact cause of death, but they did note that he had several puncture wounds, and these likely were the cause of his demise. At the time the story was published, the Arkansas Game and Fish Commission still hadn't found the wounded animal. It could still be on the loose, waiting for those hunting to give them what they deserve. Sorry, I'm Team Animal. Number 9. Hippo Fury. Nobody ever said it was a good idea to have a pet hippopotamus, but a super smart guy in South Africa got one anyway. Someone should have checked him on this, right? This guy had a huge 400-acre farm, and he raised a bunch of different species of exotic animals. Sound familiar? Sorry, no, it's not Joe Exotic. His name was Else, and the hippopotamus's name was Humphrey. He had originally rescued Humphrey, the hippo, as a calf, fed the animal apples by hand, and described Humphrey as being a lovable and gentle giant. He even claimed that he could ride the hippo like a horse, and said that Humphrey was just like a son to him, like a human. He also claimed that the relationship between himself and Humphrey was so special and that people would never understand it. Well, Humphrey killed him. Special relationship or not, a farmer has no business trying to keep a hippopotamus as a pet. Humphrey actually had a mean streak that goes quite far back. He allegedly attacked and killed several cows on the property and also attacked 2 people in a canoe on the nearby river. Everyone knows that hippopotamuses are the deadliest animals in Africa, responsible for killing far more humans every year than venomous snakes and lions. They are ridiculously aggressive, and they can run on land at 20 miles per hour. Else may not have been hunting the hippo, but he was still a collector of animals, and he met his end in the jaws of the hippo. It happened on a Sunday, when the actually not-so-gentle giant attacked his owner, bit him repeatedly, and then left him for dead inside the river on his property, where he was later found. Hey, just a quick sec. If you're new to the channel, welcome. Give this video a like and hit that subscribe button for more videos like these. Number 8. Rattlesnake Attack. On a piece of farmland in Claiborne County, a hunter and his father were working to clear a shooting lane for a deer hunting stand when something horrible happened. Wait, the shooting lane for the deer wasn't the horrible thing? The hunter's name was Sanders, and he was standing on a pile of timber at the edge of a food plot trying to clear some branches when out of nowhere a rattlesnake attacked. The problem was that he broke one of the cardinal rules of traveling in snake country. You're never supposed to put your foot down where you can't see it. But he did it anyway. He stepped from the pile of wood, put his foot down where he couldn't see it, and it was all over in a flash. After Sanders jumped back out of the way, he pulled up his pant leg and saw 2 deep fang marks just above his boot about an inch apart. Thinking quickly, he knew that he had to determine exactly what kind of snake just bit him. So he pushed the pile of wood back and found a 6-foot-long timber rattler curled up in the exact place he had just stepped. Luckily, he knew that it was important to get to the hospital as quickly as possible and was with his father at the time. After his dad drove him to the hospital, they gave him morphine, and it turned into a process that took about 5 days of delivering antivenom every 4 hours. In the end, the hunter walked away alive. Watch your step, though. Number 7. Grizzly Surprise. A man from Ohio was recently killed by a grizzly bear while in an Alaska National Park. It happened on a Sunday in what the park referred to as a surprise attack. According to the park rangers, this was the first known bear attack to prove fatal since the Wrangler St. Elias National Park was first established in 1980. the only person to die from a grizzly bear attack in nearly 40 years. How embarrassing. It all happened after the man and his hunting partner killed a moose on Saturday night. Who believes in karma? Raise your hand. On Sunday, they went back to salvage the meat from their kill. But they made the fatal mistake of dividing their efforts, with one of the men staying behind to load the supplies while the other went back to camp with the load of meat. It was when one of the men was going back to the site of the kill after dropping off a load of meat that he was attacked by surprise by a bear, who obviously smelled dinner. He shot at it, and luckily, the bear ran off. But then, when he arrived back at the site of the moose kill, he found his partner dead. After the first man scared off the bear, it went after the partner instead. According to the park rangers from the site, after the attack, they could find no evidence that the bear was still in the area. This was a surprise attack by a sneaky bear, and the sneaky bear has gotten off scot-free. Number 6. Hunter versus hunter. What happens when the hunter becomes the hunted, all because of a hunter, huh? This is what happened on a hunting trip in the state of New York, where a veteran firefighter from Long Island was killed by another hunter. Depending on who you are, you might think this is a little ironic. As reported by NBC New York, the victim was Charles Bruce, 52 years old, on a hunting trip with other firefighters in Westford. Bruce was wandering into the woods late in the afternoon when another hunter in a tree stand located about 60 yards off fired a straight shot right at Bruce, hitting him square in the chest. This is the literal definition of hunter becomes the hunted. The shooter was never identified to the public, but a spokesman did describe him as a former volunteer and one of Bruce's best friends. It must be a seriously difficult thing to literally murder your best friend. There could be criminal charges brought up against the shooter, even if it was an accident. The problem is that there is no excuse for shooting a human, and if you ask any experienced hunter, they will surely tell you that they have never seen a man that looks like a deer, and you never aim your gun at something unless you identify it. So I'm wondering if it was an accident at all. What do you think? Let me know in the comments. Number 5. Buffalo madness. Buffalo are big animals. They have horns, they are a lot stronger than you, and to be quite frank, you don't have much business hunting one of them. But a longtime South African hunter named Claude became the hunted after a buffalo surprised him with a deadly attack. It all happened when Claude killed an African buffalo in the Limpopo province in South Africa. Everything seemed to be going as Claude wanted it to. The animal was dead, and him and his buddies were ready to celebrate. But as Claude was preparing to load the carcass of the dead animal into their vehicle, another buffalo from the exact same herd came out of nowhere, charged at the hunter, and gored him with its horns right in the groin. That's gotta be the worst place to be gored by a wild animal. In any case, the attack ended up damaging his femoral artery, and he died pretty much instantly. According to locals familiar with Claude and the incident, the hunters had been working in the bush, and the animal in their line of sight had been blocked. Nobody saw the extra buffalo coming at them. It was a total surprise. After 30 years of hunting big game in places like South Africa, Claude was finally put to bed by an angry buffalo. I wonder if Claude had shot the buffalo's friend, and so he sought revenge. Most likely. Number 4. Gorilla feeding time. Just recently in Spain, a zookeeper had to be taken to the hospital after being brutalized by a gorilla that weighed nearly 450 pounds. The woman was an employee of the Madrid Zoo Aquarium, and she was very quickly rushed to the hospital after her colleagues broke into the gorilla closure and managed to stop the animal by shooting fire extinguishers at it, therefore saving the woman's life. A spokesperson for the zoo told the local news agencies that the gorilla attacked the keeper after it was surprised while preparing to eat breakfast. This seems like a pretty rookie mistake, as you'd have to be kind of slow in the head to sneak up on a giant gorilla while it's eating breakfast. The good news was that the gorilla didn't really mean to hurt the woman. He did pick her up and give her a shake, but he didn't use the extent of his gorilla powers. The gorilla was 29 years old, and he was actually a pretty nice guy. It's not the gorilla's fault that he was born a wild animal. As for the woman, she suffered from open fractures on both arms, and she had a bit of a head injury. Footage of the incident was even uploaded on Twitter. The The woman is expected to recover just fine though, and while the gorilla facilities remain closed for a while to calm everyone down, it doesn't look like there will be any harm done to the gorilla for what he did. Number 3. Ultimate Tiger Vengeance. This is one of my favorite tales of vengeance of all time. You may even have heard of it before. This is the best example on Earth of a hunter truly becoming the hunted, and of an animal taking deliberate revenge on a person. It all began when a man named Vladimir Markov shot and wounded a tiger back in 1997. And to add insult to injury, Vladimir even stole what was remaining of the kill the tiger had made right before the hunter shot him. And in case you were wondering, yes, this took part in the eastern region of Russia, where all kinds of amazing wild animals still live today, such as tigers, wolves, and caribou. Just because it's a tiger doesn't mean it has to live in the jungle. They thrive just as well in the snow. After the attack, the tiger tracked the man all the way to the cabin where he was living. He literally went after the guy for revenge, sniffing out his home and then breaking in through the front door. Luckily for the hunter, he wasn't home when the tiger showed up. But it didn't really matter. The tiger completely ruined the guy's cabin, destroyed whatever it felt like, then sat and waited patiently for anywhere between 12 and 48 hours for the hunter to return home. Once Vladimir walked back into his cabin, the tiger killed him. It ravaged him, dragged him out of the cabin and into the forest, and ate him. But a lot of experts who have discussed the story agree that the eating was secondary. The tiger hunted the hunter because the two of them had some unfinished business together. The hunter wasn't so tough without his big, stupid gun. Ha! Number 2. Defending rhinos. Let's take a look at one of the most interesting national parks in the world. This place is located in India, known as the Karazanga National Park, and they have a pretty great success rate when it comes to conserving and protecting their animals. At one time, there had only been a handful of one-horned rhinoceros in the park, but now there are over 2,000. At least 2/3 of the world's population of one-horned rhinos are located in this park. But the reason for the success has been controversial. The deal here is that the rangers have been given superior powers so that they can shoot and kill poachers and hunters on site. At one point, the BBC reported that park rangers were killing at least 2 people every month who broke into the park. That's about 20 people a year murdered. But guess what? In 2015, more humans were shot dead by park rangers than rhinos were shot by poachers. And move forward to today, nobody dares go into the park to poach the animals. Effective? Yes. Is it moral? That's up for you to decide. Number 1. Crushed by an elephant. Let's take a look at some instant karma. Back in 2017, a big game hunter in South Africa was killed after being crushed to death by an elephant in the middle of a hunt in Zimbabwe. The hunter had been leading a group of hunters when they happened upon a herd of elephants. This was actually in the same park where Cecil the lion was killed back in 2015. As you can see, nothing has obviously been done to stop all these human pieces of garbage from going into the park and shooting living animals for fun, like a bunch of sadistic creeps. In any case, this hunter got some instant karma. 3 elephants charged the group, probably after they smelled the awfulness coming off of them, and a 4th elephant charged from the side. The 3 elephants in front were dispersed by gunfire, but the elephant that came from the side was too fast. It picked up one of the hunters with its trunk, and at the same time, the rest of the hunters shot and killed the elephant, filling it with bullets. But the animal still had the hunter in its trunk, and when it fell over dead, it fell onto the hunter and killed him too. Can't say I feel too bad for the guy. I do feel bad for the elephant, on the other hand. Which one of these stories of hunters becoming the hunted was most satisfying to hear? Let me know your thoughts in the comments below. Be sure to subscribe, and I'll see you next time. Bye!